In today's video we will discuss the top 10 highest grossing movies of all time, and why these movies are box office hits. Please make sure you subscribe to the Top 10 Jaw-Dropping Facts channel. New videos release every Monday through Friday. Here are the top 10 highest grossing movies of all time. Number 10. Furious 7. 2015, domestic, $353 million. Release date, April 3, 2015. Total $1.4 billion. What started out as a Point Break derivative, with cars, became one of the unlikeliest mega franchises ever. Vin Diesel's return in the series' fourth film is what really got the Fast and Furious franchise engines revving, and Dwayne Johnson's addition in the fifth film added some humor and helped get the critics on board. But it was the full embrace of the series' now signature bombast, as well as the untimely death of Paul Walker, that brought the combo of curiosity and tribute that helped make James Wan's Furious 7 the franchise's most successful entry. It hit with audiences. The opening weekend haul of $147 million was almost $50 million more than the others. Number 9. Avengers. Domestic, $623.4 million. Release date, May 4, 2012. Total $1.5 billion. Want proof that Avengers work best together? Consider that the first combined outing for Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America bested the $1.5 billion that their origin stories had made combined. 5 films into the MCU, including Edward Norton's The Incredible Hulk, the team was finally assembled for a singular battle against Loki and his inherited army. Joss Whedon's movie became the first ever to make over $200 million in a single weekend and was Marvel's first entry into the billion-dollar club, which had just 12 members at the time. Number 8. The Lion King. Domestic, $543.6 million. Release date, July 19, 2019. Total $1.6 billion. Having found success with its live-action reimaginings of The Jungle Book and Beauty and the Beast, Disney tripled down in 2019 with 3 new remakes. Dumbo was a bit of a bust, Aladdin was a success, but The Lion King truly roared. That made sense given that the 1994 original, at the time, was one of the studio's most successful films in the middle of its rebirth, and director Jon Favreau's CGI-fueled version traced it for a new generation. The result is the highest-grossing domestic release to receive a rotten score on the tomato meter at 53%. But its $191 million opening was the 8th highest of all time, and it became the 14th film to pass $500 million domestically and just the 9th film to rack up $1 billion overseas. Number 7. Jurassic World. Domestic, $653.4 million. Release date, June 12, 2015. Total $1.7 billion. 22 years after Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park became the Jaws for a new generation, it was time for that generation's kids to have their own version of dinosaur mayhem. The second best reviewed film in the Jurassic series, 72% on the tomato meter versus the original's 91%, Jurassic World trampled a competitive summer full of Avengers, Minions, and inner feelings, and became just the 3rd film since Titanic in 1998 to pass $600 million in domestic box office. Number 6. Spider-Man. No Way Home. Domestic, $804.8 million. Release date, December 15, 2021. Total $1.8 billion. Speaking of gathering Marvel characters for an epic showdown, 2021 provided an unexpected box office champion that would swing triumphantly into the top 10. That is to say, the success of Spider-Man: No Way Home wasn't unexpected because of the film itself, which was an ambitious, multiverse-expanding entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that brought together some of the most beloved characters in the web-slinger's big-screen history in a funny, heartbreaking, thrilling spectacle. No, it was unexpected because it managed this Herculean feat even as the COVID-19 pandemic continued to keep audiences largely at home. If there was one movie in all of 2021, or, hell, even going back as far as 2020, that moviegoers were willing to risk going to the theater for, it was absolutely No Way Home, and boy did they ever show up. Number 5. Black Panther. Domestic, $700.4 million. Release date, February 16, 2018. Total $1.9 billion. After an introduction in Captain America: Civil War, T'Challa got his own film in February of 2019. Audiences were hungry for representation on screen and looking for a thrilling reintroduction to the character, and in Ryan Coogler's action-packed, beautiful-looking epic, they got both. The movie became the fifth film in history to have a $200 million opening weekend, and just the third film ever to gross over $700 million in North America, outlasting even Avengers: Infinity War that summer. Number 4. Avengers: Infinity War. Domestic, $678.8 million. Release date, April 27, 2018. Total $2 billion. Just shy of 10 years since it began, the Marvel Cinematic Universe gathered nearly every one of its characters for a galaxy-wide showdown with the series' big bad, Thanos. The movie featured one of the gutsiest cliffhangers in any franchise's history, leaving audiences to wait in shock for an entire year to discover how Phase 3 of the epic series would end. The film bested The Force Awakens' three-day opening weekend record with $257.6 million, and hit the $2 billion mark in 48 days. Number 3. Titanic. Domestic, $659.4 million, including re-releases. Release date, December 19, 1997. Total $2.1 billion. James Cameron makes expensive movies. The Abyss, Terminator 2, and True Lies were all the most expensive movies of their time upon release. In 1997, Cameron blew out the budget again, and this time there was worry he may have gone too far. Though delayed from July until December, Titanic nevertheless became a global phenomenon, the likes of which the box office had never seen at the time. Number 2. Avatar. Domestic, $760.5 million, including re-releases. Release date, December 18, 2009. Total $2.8 billion. The world had to wait some 12 years for James Cameron to follow up the biggest film of all time with what would become the new biggest film of all time. Nobody believed he was going to surpass Titanic's numbers with this tale of an alien planet and the paraplegic marine who teams up with its inhabitants in the battle for unobtainium. But he did. At the peak of a 3D re-emergence, aided by the filmmaker's usual technological gamesmanship and higher ticket prices, Avatar's 7 straight weekends at number 1 led to over $595 million at the North American box office. It held onto its impressive global record for nearly 10 years, until Avengers: Endgame came along and snatched the crown. Number 1. Avengers: Endgame. Domestic, $858.4 million, including re-releases. Release date, April 26, 2019. Total $3 billion. The journey that began in 2008 with Iron Man was coming to an end, at least for some of the characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Audiences that had been holding their breath for an entire year after perhaps the biggest cliffhanger since Empire Strikes Back could not wait to buy their tickets, and did they ever buy those tickets when they finally could? Opening weekend for Avengers: Endgame in April 2019 surpassed Infinity War's year-long record by nearly $100 million. In just 8 days, the film had grossed $500 million domestically. On day 10, it was over $621 million. One by one the records fell, leading many to ignore the words if and can and focus instead on when Avatar's previous record, $2.787 billion, as the highest-grossing movie would fall. These are the top 10 highest-grossing movies of all time. With so many great movies that have broke records, we guarantee these movies will be enjoyable to you. I hope you enjoyed our breakdown of the top 10 highest-grossing movies of all time. Please leave a comment below for which movie is your favorite. Do not forget to subscribe to the Top 10 Jaw-Dropping Facts channel. And new episodes release every Monday through Friday.